Welcome to FX Options University, recorded live at the International Securities Exchange, the world's largest equity options exchange. Join the industry's top trading professionals as they provide insight and strategies for trading in the currency markets using FX options. FX options are a low-risk alternative to hedging currency moves in any market condition.
Question about putting on a stop loss on spreads. A lot of brokers will not allow you to enter a stop loss on a spread. You have to sometimes do a sort of a mental stop loss. Or what I like to do is I have places in my trading accounts where I make notes to myself on specific positions. I oftentimes, when I take on a position, I'll write down, I like to do it on a spreadsheet. Basically, I keep an Excel spreadsheet of all my trades. And once I establish the trade, I add in the commissions to get in and the commissions that I know I'm going to pay when I get out. And I calculate what my break even is based on that. Now, my examples, I didn't use commissions, but you need to do that. So once I figure out what that is, then I can determine what my stop loss is, and I essentially put on a mental stop loss. It's tough to get us to find brokers that will let you do stop losses on two-legged trades. Some probably do, many don't. So you may not be able to actually enter it as a physical order, but you should have in mind a point of stop loss. Now, a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, I don't use stop losses, or mental or otherwise, on spreads because since I have the ability to calculate my maximum loss before I enter my trade, I know exactly how much I can lose, and I'm usually comfortable with that. Again, my example, let's say on my last slide here, my maximum loss was $1,740. If I wasn't comfortable with the fact that I might lose that much on that trade, even knowing what the odds are that that's going to happen, I probably shouldn't be doing the trade, right? I mean, spreads, because they have very limited losses, and it's usually a fairly small amount, especially compared to the risk you'd take if you actually acquired the underlying position. Now, in the case of an index, you can't do that, but you can obviously on a stock. Usually, I make sure I'm comfortable with the amount of risk that I'm taking on this spread. If I'm not, then I should lower my size. You know, in this example, it's a 10 by 10, so I've got $1,740 at risk. If I'm not comfortable with the fact that I might lose that much, then I'm going to lower my spread, and I'm not going to do a 10 by 10. Maybe I'll do a 5 by 5. Sometimes I do a 1 by 1. I only got $1,740 at risk there. So I usually try to be comfortable with the amount of the risk that I have, and I put those spreads on, I just let them ride. Most of the time, I would say that I probably hold my spreads to expiration at least 75% of the time. Because the way spreads price and the way time value affects them, the majority of your profits often don't come until the final days of the spread or until the final week or two of the spread. Usually you don't start making a lot of money right at the beginning. It usually comes at a faster rate as you get closer to expiration. So for that reason, I oftentimes don't even worry about it, and I just let it ride. And if it makes out, nice, and if it doesn't, then I move on, I do it again. So is there a software available to scan to automate bullish and bearish zones? I will tell you this. At Schwab, we have a screening, an option screening tool on our website. And you have to be a Schwab customer to get it, where you can specify exactly what you're looking for in the case of spreads, and it will find it. You can specify that I want a max gain of this amount, or this amount in terms of dollars or percent, and a maximum loss of this amount. You can specify that you only want to screen through stocks or indexes or ETFs that fall within certain price ranges, or on options that have specific implied volatilities or are in the money or out of the money by a certain amount. And you can screen specifically for vertical debit spreads or vertical credit put spreads or whatever it might be, and it will give you all of the stocks, indexes, ETFs, whatever it have you, that fall within those specific parameters that you've specified. It doesn't, again, the visual zones that I put on here in color on the chart, that's not something the chart does. That's something that I drew on there to illustrate while I was doing this session to sort of show you where that is. Generally, I can draw the support and resistance lines in there, and then I just kind of have to visualize where those low. But you know, you can snapshot the screen and put it in a paintbrush and draw a line in if you want to. I mean, that's all I did, just to kind of help illustrate. Yeah, I just used paintbrush. I mean, it's a simple. The question is, what drawing tools do I use? I just do a screenshot. You know, you can do print screen, and then you can throw it into Excel, and then you can just draw a little zone in there if you want to. The easier way to do it, and it's not as easy to see, but I just use the support and resistance line on our software. One's red and one's green. I usually just figure out I just calculate my max gain and loss. In fact, the software will do that for you. As soon as you choose the spread and the price you want to do it at, it'll tell you exactly what the break-even price is and the max loss and max gain. And then all you got to do is just draw in the lines. I only colored them green and blue and yellow so that it would be easier for you to see on the slides. The software itself doesn't actually do that, but I can easily draw in a red line or a green line and say, okay, I want to get in that zone between those two lines. It's really quite simple to do that. Okay, so the question about how to manage the trade if it moves against you. So there are a lot of things that you might want to do. When you do a lot of different option strategies, sometimes how to manage it is a big concern. As I mentioned, in most cases on my spreads, I don't worry about managing the spread. The reason I'm doing a spread specifically is because I don't want to have to worry about managing the trade. I want to put it on and not worry about it. If I'm worried about managing a spread, that means I've got an enormous amount at risk. Well, spreads don't have an enormous amount at risk. Spreads typically have a fairly limited amount, and I know what that amount is ahead of time, and I'm comfortable with the amount of risk that I'm taking, and I put it on. Now, anytime the spread starts to move against you, if it gets to be too much and you've decided that you don't like it, maybe it broke above or below this resistance or support line that you didn't think it was going to break over. If you close the trade out early, you will never lose. I shouldn't say never. You will almost never lose as much as you would if you just wait till expiration and you take your max loss. Generally, if you take a loss and closing it out early, it'll be a smaller loss than if you hold it till expiration. Same way is true on the profit side. If this trade happens to go the direction you think it's going to a lot faster than you think, you might be able to close it out at a profit early, but the profit you take when you close it out early will also be smaller than the maximum profit if you wait until expiration. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. There are a lot of other strategies where you might want to do those things early. Generally, like I said, with spreads, and this is just a personal preference, I kind of know what I'm trying to make, and I kind of know how much I'm risking up front, and my goal is generally just to put it on and wait it out. Usually you come out well if you wait till the very end. All right, well, with that, I know there are more questions out there. I'm sorry I'm running out of time. I was asked to conclude this by 5:45, and I'm a few minutes over. So with this, I will say thank you for joining me. I hope I was able to at least give you a couple of good ideas, a couple of tips to help you decide how to trade a vertical spread. I have traded these ISE indexes several times, like I said, and they actually trade quite well. The market maker is very liquid, and you can do quite well on them. Currencies are moving a lot these days, so there's a lot going on there. Elenit, I will hand it back to you.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. Get trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary. Visit www.fxoptions.com. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.